Good morning, and welcome to Sunday morning services at First Church Unitarian. My name is Peter Ersland, and I'm a member of the Standing Committee. And we're thrilled to see you here this morning on this bright sunny day, both in the sanctuary and those of you who are joining us online. There are many things to review in the community matters, and I would encourage you to read through it, see what's happening in our community this coming week and in the next few weeks. I will also put in just a very quick plug for something the Standing Committee and the stewardship team are working on. If you aren't aware already, Stewardship Sunday will be March 10th, so make sure you have that on your calendar. It will be a great event, and we hope many of you will show up. In preparation for the service, please silence your phones or put them in worship mode. And again, welcome to church.
Thank you. Our call to worship comes from Reverend Dr. David Breen. We gather in this circle of care, to dream, to envision, to embody and achieve the compassion we dream, the justice we envision, the dignity of each in an ever-growing circle of love and justice. And I hear Dee is lighting our chalice this morning. Thank you. While Dee lights our chalice, will you join me in the words for the chalice lighting? Love is the spirit of this church, and service is its law. This is our great covenant, to dwell together in peace, to seek the truth in love, and to serve one another. Thank you. Good morning, and welcome to everyone, those in the sanctuary, those joining us from home or wherever their travels have taken them. Welcome. Whether this is your first time here with this community or you've been here for many, many years, as I understand a number of you have, your presence here is a blessing to us all. I'm Reverend Kathy Schmitz. I'm serving as the sabbatical minister here at First Church Unitarian while Reverend Laura is away. I wanted to mention that although I am not doing the worship services, the next 3 weeks you have fabulous in-house talent taking care of that. I will be around for those 3 Sundays, and I'll be participating in some of the workshops after the service, so I'll be around. If you are new to this community, a very special welcome. Hope you'll check out Community Matters for things that are going on and for ways to get connected. You can also check out the website, fculittle.org, and that will give you more information both about this congregation and Unitarian Universalism in general. And of course, you can always speak to people. The people with the name tags on are allegedly the ones who know a little bit about what's going on here. At this moment, they know more than me. So, after the service, I hope those who are in the building will join us for coffee and conversation in the vestry. Just follow folks out the door in the front right, and they will lead you to the vestry where the sacred coffee is kept. Those online may wish to linger there and check in with one another. And as we begin, I do invite you to set any devices on your person to worship mode. Our opening song is Come, Come, Whoever You Are, and Molly will lead us in a round.
Ours is no caravan. Okay. Am I on? Am I on? Can you hear me? Yes. All right. Good morning. So, this morning's story, The Most Magnificent Thing. I have a feeling we can all relate to this. This is a regular girl and her best friend in the whole wide world. They do all kinds of things together. They race, they eat, they explore, they relax. They make things. He unmakes things. One day, the girl has a wonderful idea. She's going to make the most magnificent thing. She knows just how it will look. She knows just how it will work. All she has to do is make it, and she makes things all the time. Easy peasy. First, she hires an assistant. Next, they gather their supplies, they set up somewhere out of the way, and get to work. The girl tinkers and hammers and measures while her assistant pounces and growls and chews. When she's finished, she steps back to admire her work. She walks around one side, her assistant examines the other side. Doesn't look quite right. Her assistant picks it up and gives it a shake. Doesn't feel right either. They are shocked to discover that it isn't magnificent or good. It isn't even kinda, sorta okay. It is all wrong. The girl tosses it aside and gives it another go. She smooths and wrenches and fiddles. Her assistant circles, tugs, and wags. When she's finished, she stands up and takes a long look at it. Her assistant gives it a nudge with his paw. The thing is still wrong. She decides to try again. The girl saws and glues and adjusts, and she stands and examines and stares. She twists and tweaks and fastens. She fixes, straightens, and studies. She tries all different ways to make it better. She makes it square, she makes it round, she gives it legs, she adds an antenna, she makes it fuzzy, she makes it long, short, rough, big, smooth, small. One even smells of stinky cheese. But none of them are magnificent. Her hard work attracts a few admirers, but they don't understand. They can't see the magnificent thing in her mind. She gets mad. She gets angrier. The angrier she gets, the faster she works. She smashes pieces into shapes. She jams parts together. She pummels it into bits. Her hands feel too big to work, and her brain is too full of not the right things. If only this thing would just work. Crunch. The pain starts in her finger, rushes up to her brain, and she explodes. It's not one of her finest moments. I'm no good at this, I quit. Her assistant suggests a walk. At first, it's not much help. At first. But before long, she starts to feel different. Bit by bit, the mad gets pushed out of her head. As they stroll along, she comes across the first wrong thing she made. The bad feelings are about to start all over again. Then she notices something surprising. There are some parts of the wrong things that are really quite right. The bolts on one, the shape of another, the wheel seat to ratio of the next. There are all sorts of parts that she likes. By the time she reaches the end of the trail, she finally knows how to make the thing magnificent. She gets to work. She works carefully and slowly, tinkering, hammering, twisting, fiddling, gluing, painting. Her assistant makes sure there are no distractions. And there's a man, he goes, "This is the perfect thing to ward off bears." and a woman says, "This will stop that leak." And a little boy goes, "This one's all wet." The afternoon fades into evening. Finally, she finishes. She alerts her assistant. The pair take a good long look, leans a little to the left, and it's a bit heavier than expected. The color could use a bit of work too, but it's just what she wanted. They climb aboard and take it for a spin. They are not disappointed. It is really the most magnificent thing.
The offering is a sacrament of the free church, congregations that gather of their own accord, self-governing, self-supporting, to build community and serve the cause of love and justice. For those joining online, offerings can be given through the website or by sending a check to the church office. Here in the sanctuary, I invite our ushers to come forward at this time. Your offerings to support the mission and ministry of this congregation will be gratefully received. Will you join me, please, in the words for our community response? We are grateful for the opportunity to give and serve, and grateful for the gifts we have received. May we affirm this community, both within and beyond these walls. Be tempting to reject opportunities for growth. But here's the thing. If we are brave enough to stand on the edge, to risk falling into the unknown, we grow and our worldview grows. And then when we do go back to the center of our lily pad, we can look any way we want with confidence, without fear. And the world we understand is fuller and richer and likely more accurate than the world we knew before. All because we did not turn away from new understanding. All because we looked around and, as the choir reminded us, found out that it's a wonderfully beautiful world. It's good to grow our lily pads. Perhaps you can think of a time when you faced something new, unknown, and grew. We actually had a lot of common opportunities in the last few years. To use just one of them as an example, in February 2020, a month before the pandemic shutdown, many of us had never done Zoom before. Anybody want to admit to that being true? No. Now it's a regular form of communication. When I make an appointment with someone, it's like in-person, phone, or Zoom. We've experienced so many things, and as we embrace them, we have more confidence and we can see things more clearly. Thinking about worship alone, being online means that if we choose, we have new ways to include people. People who've moved away, who aren't feeling well today, who are homebound or immunocompromised, who are traveling or snowbirding. If we choose, we can welcome a family who's had too much of a meltdown to get here today. A shy person who's not yet ready to walk through the doors. Folks from another congregation whose worship team needed a break today. Or, I don't know, guest speakers from the other side of the country. It can be challenging to grow our lily pads, but when we do, we have so much to gain. Our circle of concern, or who we can include, expands. I'm reminded of our third Unitarian Universalist Association principle. It says, we covenant to affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations. Encouragement to spiritual growth. We encourage growth. The principle specifically calls out spiritual growth, and I think it's appropriate for you to know when I hear or say the word spiritual, what I'm referring to is how we're connected, whether it's to nature or God or the universe or humanity. Connection to something beyond ourselves. For me, creating larger and larger, richer and more accurate views of the world represents spiritual growth. It helps us better understand our place in the world, our connections to it, and it helps us make meaning. We encourage growth. That's what the third Unitarian Universalist Association principle says. But I don't want to move off that principle without noting what it first says. It says, we affirm and promote acceptance of one another. Acceptance. For this acceptance is a way that we can each help others to find the center of their lily pads. Because I really do wish for everyone to have a place where they can go back to and find comfort. When we accept one another, we know that we are enough. Because sometimes life is rough. And even those of us with fairly robust lily pads will get knocked about, like if the boat goes by and causes a wake and our lily pad is doing this. When life is giving us challenges, significant losses, or even meaningful transition, it might not be the time to run to the edge of your lily pad looking for new learning. I remember once I signed up for a retreat. My mom had just died, and I was looking forward to time away with my colleagues. It really sounded good. And then I arrived, and I realized I hadn't focused on the content, the program for the retreat, and it was a really challenging topic. Oops. I wasn't in a good place for a challenging topic or what unfolded. It was really easy for me to get mad at the retreat organizers for making me uncomfortable. In reality, what they had offered was a rich opportunity that I might have really appreciated on another occasion. I try to remember this so that in the future, when I find myself in such places, I can excuse myself or do whatever it is I need to do to care for myself and not lash out at others who have done nothing wrong. Perhaps you can think of a time when you needed to be in the middle of your lily pad, or when someone else needed to be in the middle of theirs. And perhaps they declined a really interesting challenge or growth opportunity that you were offering them. Can we be compassionate with ourselves and each other at times like this? Can we perhaps be like the best friend and assistant in this morning's story, who, when things were challenging, didn't try to cheerlead, didn't try to fix things. Instead, the assistant and best friend suggested a walk. Our loving kindness meditation today is a reminder of the way that we can expand our circle of concern outward, opening our hearts to ever greater circles, increasing the chances that we will understand the experiences and perspectives of another, and even when we can't, we can at least offer compassion and love. We all have times when we need to go to the center, when we need acceptance more than we need another chance to grow, when what we need today is just to be okay with who we are. And then, when we are ready, we venture out again. When I ventured out after the retreat, I found that my lily pad had grown. My experience now included losing my last parent, something I had understood intellectually before, but now I understood at a deeper level. Of course, while I can try to protect myself in my time of grief, we can't protect ourselves from all challenges. We can't protect ourselves from everything. I didn't choose to lose my mother. Some changes aren't optional. Growing from them is. Sometimes we choose growth. Sometimes the growth chooses us. I started my understanding of my lily pad after attending a workshop a number of years ago with Dr. Mark Hicks. Dr. Hicks is a professor of religious education at Meadville Lombard Theological School, which trains Unitarian Universalist ministers. He's also the creator of Beloved Conversations program, which some of you may be familiar with. The title of the workshop was Dancing on the Edge of Meaning. As the week-long workshop approached, I kept imagining what that would look like, dancing on the edge of meaning. That week, I learned many things about expanding our understanding and challenging our preconceived notions. Over the course of the week, my image of a lily pad emerged. There I was, joyfully encountering new learning, up on my toes, twirling about, tipping over the edge and pulling back, watching my understanding grow right under my feet. A few years later, I had occasion to do another workshop with Dr. Hicks. I described the lily pad to him. He looked truly bemused. He was like, "Really? That's what you got out of the workshop?" And so I offer this image to you and invite you to do what you will with it. But I do have a couple of options for your lily pad, expansion packs, if you will. First of all, let's talk about blemishes. What happens when the new thing we learn proves something that we used to know false? Say we grew up in a religious tradition that labeled some people sinners, and our current understanding is that those people are children of love. What happens to the part of the lily pad that represents those old understandings? Should we cut it off? Let it float away? Pretend it never existed? Would that be an accurate representation of reality? I wonder if instead we could imagine those as discolorations, something that stays with us, a part of our lily pad that no longer defines us, something that gives us insight into what we continue, something that gives us insight into those who continue to hold this idea with which we no longer agree. If you have come from such a place, you understand it so much better than those who have never been there. Are there blemishes in your lily pad? Reminders of understandings you have let go of, but which continue to inform your understanding of the world? The other thing we need to talk about is muck. When I think about lily pads, I'm reminded of the Asian understanding of the lotus. It's an acknowledgement of that the beauty we see on the surface of the water, in fact, has its roots in the mud and muck below. The worldview represented by our lily pads might seem neat and clean as we represent it to the world, might have a lovely lily. But for most of us, an honest look at what lies beneath would reveal that we have been through a good deal of mud and muck on the way to where we are today. What mud and muck has nurtured you to where you are today? And thinking about my lily pad comes in helpful for me when I encounter some of the challenging learning the world asks of me today. For example, issues around race, disability, gender identity. We're called to expand our understanding, and sometimes I want to run back to the middle of my privileged lily pad. Sometimes I actually do, for a bit. But I really do try to go dancing instead, to shimmy right up to the edge of what I understand, to get on my tippy toes and twirl, to engage with what I find there even when it's scary, even when it's hard, even when I mess up. Because if I do, if I keep dancing, keep exploring that edge right there under my feet, the magic happens. I find I'm no longer standing precariously on the edge of a shaking leaf with waves lacking at my feet. Something has shifted. My perspective has changed, my world has grown, and my lily pad is bigger. And the gift of this engagement is that I have a fuller, deeper, more honest view of the world in which I live. And this is the magic with which I will leave you. When this happens, my lily pad grows, my understanding of the world becomes deeper, richer, more honest, and I rest secure that in growing my lily pad, widening my circle, I have made the world better, not only for me, but for everyone I encounter. May it be so. Our closing song is Building Bridges. Please rise in body or in spirit. Evidence that I can be trained. I invite you, as you're comfortable doing so, to reach out to one another. If health or other concerns prevent that today, we do understand. Our closing words come from Reverend Rod Richards. You won't be alone. We'll be side by side with one another. with people yet to come, with partners we have yet to meet, creating ever-widening, perfectly imperfect, precisely imprecise circles and ovals and oblong things of beauty as we practice sacred flexibility, welcoming love, healing pain, and demanding justice, and saving lives. Go forth and make some new shapes. I wish for your hearts both strength and peace as together we grow and learn and create.
Shall we all wave to everybody at home? Camera 2. Everybody at home, wave. You're on the screen. Everybody have a good, safe week.